Hey everybody, welcome back to video 3 of how to start a podcast. I've got all this stuff on the table because today we're talking about podcast equipment and software. We're going to show you everything you need to start recording your podcast. One of the things that makes podcasting awesome is they've got such a low barrier to entry. So you can start recording a podcast like on your iPhone with some headphones, and you can work your way into a $10,000 podcasting studio. Just remember that the content is most important. No one's listening to a boring podcast because it has great sound quality. As soon as people know it's good sound quality, then it kind of fades into the background. It's like, body odor or something. Like if people are mentioning it, it's probably not a good thing. But no one's really going, hey, this guy, great hygiene. Now, picking podcast equipment can get pretty confusing, especially if you don't have a background in audio recordings. You're not sure what's going to work best for you. So to make it easy, we're going to share the setup that we recommend for 90% of podcasters. And it all starts with this guy right here, the Audio-Technica 2100. This is a great little microphone, and it's our top pick for most podcasters. When we put this mic up against microphones in the $400 range, like this guy over here, sometimes it can be hard to tell a difference. It's really great, and it's durable. We've literally taken this to tons of different conferences. We banged them when we moved them around, and they've made it through a bunch of mic drops. They're still going strong. And they're so easy to use because they have inputs for USB and XLR cables. So you can plug it right into the computer, or you could plug it into an audio interface or mixer if you upgrade to that later down the road. This mic will still work for you no matter what. It comes with a microphone stand. So this guy comes with the USB cable plug, comes with an XLR cable. I'll show you later. It's got a lot in the box. What would you expect to pay for this? If this was like a Snuggie commercial or something, you'd expect to hear something like 12 easy payments of $49.99. Well, it's one easy payment of $65. Seriously, this thing it's on Amazon. It's a really great deal, and we think you're going to love it. Due to some weird licensing issues, sometimes it's not available in some countries. So if you can't find this, it's the ATR 2100. If you can't find that in your country, check around for one called a Samson Q2U. It's really similar, and it's got a lot of the same benefits, same build quality, so we like that one as well. Next thing you need is a pop filter. So this one's not a full pop filter, it's just a little cover, but pop filter, windscreen. Microphones are pretty sensitive, and they're really sensitive to large amounts of noise or wind kind of coming out of your mouth, a bunch of hot air, and that hits the mic, and it actually is really sensitive to those S and P sounds. So the way to avoid this is to get a windscreen or a pop filter. For the 2100, we recommend just this little foam cover. It's like $3, and it's going to save you a ton of time in the editing room. The next thing to think about is the audio interface. So if you're recording with a co-host and you want to use 2 mics, we recommend an audio interface. First, you don't want to try to run 2 of these into the computer. You can get a bunch of issues when you have 2 USB mics on one computer, and it will make editing your podcast a lot more difficult. And you never want to have 2 people talking into the same mic. That means you only ever have one track, which gets really difficult. Let's say later on one person was louder, the other person was a little bit quieter. That's really hard to edit if you have only one mic. So we recommend running both microphones through an audio interface with the XLR cables. So we would use this cable, we would hook it up to the mic, run it through the Focusrite, and we would plug that into my computer. So this is mostly about $160 online, but the one I actually have in the studio is the older version, and sometimes you can get that for a little cheaper. And there's something else we really like called the Rode Podcaster Pro.
False. Rodecaster Pro.
The Rodecaster Pro. And if you get really into podcasting gear, maybe down the line, consider the Rodecaster Pro. So that's what this guy is. And this is a really cool audio mixer. It's awesome, but it's $600. So it's a bit expensive for most podcasters. If you want to watch a full review, if you want to watch my coworker gush over this thing for 9 minutes, we'll add a link to that in the video description. He's a huge fan, and it's what we use for all of our podcasts. All right, so headphones. Do you really need them? Well, the answer is 100% yes. Now, headphones don't have to be some high-end studio headphones, but you do need some headphones for a few reasons. Number one, if you're recording over the internet, you cannot use your speakers as the audio output. Your microphone will pick up the sound from your computer speakers and it will mess up the recording. So literally what's happening here is something we would call bleed or spill. In audio, you'd hear that phrase used in audio circles. What's happening is the audio is coming out of the speakers into your mic and it's recording it as your voice. Again, this will be a real pain later when you're editing. But what if you're recording alone? Do you still want to have headphones? And the answer, again, is yes. You'd plug right into your microphone and we're going to monitor our voice as we record. The reason we're doing this is because we want to get a consistent recording. So if I start to drift away, I want to spot that right away. Or if I start looking away or I get real excited and I start getting louder, all of those, I want to spot when that happens so you know how your voice sounds in the recording. Now for recommendations, I've got a few options. First, you can just use a pair of headphones you already have or earbuds that you have at home. We don't need to get fancy for headphones. And if you want to buy something specifically for podcasting, I really like these Audio-Technica ATH M20X. I swear this video is not sponsored by Audio-Technica. They just are doing a bunch of cool products that we really like. And these are only $50. And I think we've had these now for over 4 years and they worked really well for us. If you want to learn more about accessories and why we wouldn't recommend something like the Blue Yeti, the exact stuff to buy if you're doing a larger setup like 2, 3, or 4 people, we have a video on the best podcast setups and we'll put a link to that in the description. So once you've recorded your podcast, you're going to want to edit it on your computer to make any necessary adjustments. The great news is it's super affordable. We have this Facebook group, the Buzzsprout Podcasters Facebook group, and I asked everybody what audio software they were using. And I had a guess at what was going to win, but I was kind of shocked how well it did. So about half the podcasters said they used Audacity. The other half used a whole bunch of different software. And maybe I shouldn't have been surprised because Audacity has a lot going for it. It's free open source software. It comes with a lot of pro level features. So your podcast software will literally never hold you back. There's versions for Apple OS X. There's versions for Windows, versions for Linux. You can get it no matter what kind of computer you have. The only downside, thing that's going against it, is a steep learning curve, mainly because it's kind of got an outdated UI. But there's a ton of videos and online tutorials to help. Travis did a full audio tutorial for podcasters, and I'll link that in the description. So definitely check that out. Now, one of the guys in the office uses this next recommendation, and that's GarageBand. GarageBand comes pre-installed on most Apple computers. So if you don't have it, you should be able to download it as long as you have an Apple device. There's also versions for iPad and iPhone if you want to do that as well. And it's a bit easier to use GarageBand than it is to use Audacity, but unfortunately it's limited to Apple devices. So if you're on Windows or Linux, it's not going to be an option for you. The other option I want to mention is what one of our co-founders uses, and that's Hindenburg. Hindenburg is the only one on this list that costs any money, and it starts at $95. Hindenburg's pro-level audio editing software for radio and podcasters. It's not as cheap as Audacity because you can't get cheaper than free, but it offers a lot of the built-in podcasting features that people are looking for. We recommend starting with a 30-day trial. The version we really like is called Hindenburg Journalist. It's got a really nice feature where you can upload your podcast directly from Hindenburg right into your Buzzsprout account, just to save you a little bit of time. Give that 30-day trial to see if it works for you and if it's worth making that investment. Now, there are a couple options to the full editing software I'd like to share with you. The first is called Alitu. Now, Alitu is actually created by one of our friends, Colin Gray of thepodcasthost.com. If you start searching a bunch of podcasting things online, you're sure to find something that Colin has written or a video of him talking about it. And what he wanted to do is create some audio editing software for people that's really easy. It's web-based, so it's really simple to upload audio and make some adjustments to it. It doesn't have all the pro-level features you'd find in something like Hindenburg, but that's what makes it perfect for a lot of podcasters. Another alternative is called Descript. Descript it's kind of nuts, honestly. What they do is you import an episode, and then they do the entire transcription of that episode for you. And then the way you do all of your editing is by editing the words of the transcript. So you can delete a section where you mess something up. That's an example of a mess up. I don't know why we need that, but you could actually delete that out, and Descript will remove that section from the audio. It's really cool. The next thing we want to talk about is long distance podcast recordings. So this is for people who are recording a podcast with somebody who's not at your physical location. They could be in another country, another city, or maybe you didn't want to drive 5 minutes across town. We're trying to get a really crisp audio recording without any of the buffering that you might run into with a video conference call. So I wouldn't recommend using your phone or Skype if you can help it. They're both great ways to stay in touch with friends, but there's better ways to get that high quality audio that we'll want for editing later. So the first software we use and recommend is called Squadcast. Squadcast records lossless audio, and it still gives you video conferencing during the call. Lossless is the highest audio quality recording you can get, and you'll get separate tracks for you and everybody on the call, which is what we were talking about being so important earlier. The video isn't recorded right now. I think they're looking at maybe adding that feature later on, but it will allow you to talk to your remote guests and establish a connection with them that's a little bit more difficult when you're just talking over audio. So they've got plans that start at $5 an hour, and it's money well spent if you're recording with a remote guest. Another option to use is a Zoom call. So Zoom's kind of taken over the whole video conferencing world, and now they're getting into the podcasting space a bit. They don't have lossless audio like Squadcast, but they do have an option to get separate tracks that does help with audio editing. So you need to look up how to turn on separate tracks for Zoom, and you can still do one-on-one calls for the Zoom for free. So that's a really good setup for a podcaster on a budget. All right, so we covered a lot of great stuff in this video. We talked about what equipment you should buy. We talked about the editing software that we recommend, we think is really good for you. And we talked about the right setup for a long distance podcast recording. In the next video, we're gonna record your first episode. So go ahead, pick out your recording gear, buy the equipment that you want. If you want to go more in depth, we do have some more deep dive reviews that you could check out, but get all of that stuff together. And in the next video, we're actually going to go over what you need to do to record your first episode. We'll see you there.